I love the Roland SP-404 Mark II, but you don't want to click on a video that's super positive sounding, do you? No, you want the negativity and the drama, don't you? You friggin' jerk. That intro got away from me. So I do have a couple, we can call them complaints, but they're really things that I think Roland could fix in future firmware updates, or who knows? This thing is, 4 years old this year? That's crazy. There might be a Mark III in the works. I literally have no idea. But these are just my four, we'll call them complaints about the SP-404 Mark II, things that I wish it could do that it currently can't. But before we get into that, I need to shout out today's patron, and that shout out goes to Trevor Bryant. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. So the first item on my list is the fact that the SP-404 cannot permanently send a sample to just the headphone jack. There are ways it can temporarily send samples to the headphone jack, but there's no way to permanently route a sample's output to exclusively go through the headphone out. Those workarounds are either by using Q mode, which allows you to set your monitor mix here between what's going out of the output or what's going out of the Q mix, and then to actually play a sample through your Q mix. You'll see that you can't hear this at all. Neither can I. It's because nothing is plugged into the headphone jack, but if something was plugged in down here, you'd be able to hear it. And the second way is actually by going down into the utility menu and then going down to pad mute and setting it to just master. Then going into mute mode by holding shift and reverse, and then you can hit remain to stay here. Now we're in pad mute mode. Now any of these red pads, any of these muted pads will not go to the output, but they will go to the headphone jack. So let's mute a few here. Now the problem with both of these methods is that they are not permanent. So as soon as we change projects here, let's go here real quick, and then back. Now we go back to mute mode. Look at that, nothing is muted. And it's the same with Q mode, nothing saves. In fact, with Q mode, as soon as you leave Q mode, it's no longer exclusively playing through the headphone jack, it's going through the outputs. The reason this is important is because when playing live, a lot of musicians like to use what's called a Q track. It's sort of like a custom metronome. A lot of times it will have a click track in there, but there's also going to be little reminders. So you'll hear like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, chorus coming up, 1, 2, 3, 4, chorus, 2, 3, 4, verse coming up, 1, 2, 3, 4, things like that. Or in my case, I'd probably have it say things like chorus, 2, 3, 4, hit isolator, 3, 4, little reminders that you can have to just sort of assist you in your live performance. It would be really nice to be able to do that all on the device itself. My next complaint is that I wish all of the effects settings saved per project rather than across the whole device. So right now I'm sitting in project 15. Let's go to 12 here, which I believe, it's just a copy of the other project. But let's say we go to the isolator here, which I have set to the stopper. That's actually an effect I use for a different project on this button here. I wish all of the effects assigns per these 6 buttons here, or 5 buttons, I guess, because this is the shortcut to all of them. I wish they were per project. I wish the settings were per project. Now, of course, you can save individual settings for each effect by setting them and then holding shift and mark, I believe, for 3 seconds. It's either this or shift and remain. Yeah, okay, it's shift and mark. Hold that down for 3 seconds. But again, that's for the whole device. That's not just per project. I would love if pretty much everything in the effects settings menu was just on a per project basis. That includes your routing for your first 2 buses. That would include the presets for buses 3 and 4, the individual settings there. The sidechain, if that was per project, that would be epic. Right now, it's just device-wide. Which is workable, but you do have to make some tweaks and changes when you're switching between projects if those projects do have different sidechain requirements. And then same thing for the direct. Like I mentioned, I'd love to be able to set the direct menu and have them per project rather than just universal across the device. And on the other tab of the effects menu, I'd also love for all of these to be per project. I think that would be really nice, be able to set your input bus per project, the input effect per project. That one's not as bad because you can switch it pretty easily via MIDI. Have all of this stuff just per project. I feel like that would be a huge step forward for ease of use when performing with the SP-404 Mark II, or even just setting up to jam or songwrite, you know? Now, the last two complaints I have to do with resample. The first one is that I wish you could resample without having to stop all of the audio at the end of the resampling process. What do I mean by that? Well, check this out. I just exported our pattern into a single sample here, so we're gonna get that looping. If I hit resample, and then hit right here, and let's say that's good. See, it cuts the audio. It stops everything. And I just wish that I could resample a little smoother and keep all of the audio running in the background. It would just make doing some resample things a bit smoother live. And I do know that you can use the looper for this, but that's still kind of a workaround. There's a lot of different screens you then have to go through and, you know, copy it to a pad and then stop it and re-trigger it. There's just a lot you have to do to make that workflow work in the same way that it would if you made resample so it doesn't cut all the audio at the end of it. I don't know if that's just a processing power thing or what, but it would really be nice. And then the last complaint. I wish that you could resample to the same pad as your original sample without having to choose a new destination and then copy it over. I'll just show you what I mean. So let's take this kick drum sample here. I'm going to put it way at the back here so I don't mess anything up with my project. I've got this dry kick drum, right? Let's say I want to sample this with some reverb. So I'm going to put it on bus 1. And we've already got some reverb there from, I believe, bus 4. But what if we grab some more? That's enough. Right now, if I want to resample this with that reverb on it so I don't have to use one of my effects buses for reverb, I have to hit resample and then pick a different destination, then play the original. I'm going to turn the click off. Play the original. Wait it out. Okay. Now I have that sample right here. I would then have to hit copy, select the new one, then the original, and then hit copy and it would overwrite it. I wish I could simply take this sample, okay, got the reverb on it, hit resample, and choose the same destination and just resample over that original sample that I want to, resample with the effects. That would be really cool. And it would certainly speed up the workflow, I feel like a pretty good amount for a lot of people on here. Anyway, those are my 4 complaints, if we want to call them that, on the SP-404 Mark II. I just love this thing. It's incredible. And seriously, I had to rack my brain trying to come up with 4 things that I wanted to talk about. The one that I really, really, really care about is the ability to route samples exclusively through the headphone jack. That would be awesome and would save me the headache of having to bring a second device into my live rig to play cue samples in my ears. Just being able to have it all on one device would be excellent. Also, I know I joked at the beginning, but I am going to be doing a positive video on the SP-404 Mark II in the very near future, just talking about specific things that I love about it. So be on the lookout for that. Let me know if you have any complaints about the SP-404 Mark II in a comment down below. If you did find this video informative or at least entertaining, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.